Today we're gonna have a look at Fanatec's lower end entry point in terms of Formula wheels with the ClubSport F1 Esports, which is more than a mouthful to say, and I've been pairing this wheel with the Fanatec CSL that I've got a couple of months ago. The base CSL included P1 steering rim is okay, but the number of buttons leave a bit to be desired. It's really not a design flaw as the stock wheel is comfortable and well built, though it is something that comes with these types of rims. If you need more buttons and functionalities, you have to point yourself towards Formula style or GT style steering wheels, and this is where the ClubSport F1 Esports comes into play. At the moment, the steering wheel will cost you around €250 or $250, of course with shipping and handling. This is the most inexpensive Formula wheel in the Fanatec lineup at the moment, as the GT3 McLaren is not available at the moment, which is kind of sad. And then you have the Formula Carbon, which is €300, and you also have the Advanced V2, which is €370 or dollars, which is something a little more to consider. So at this price point, is the Formula 1 ClubSports worthwhile? And this is the objective of this video, and we're going to check it out. This wheel is compatible with all of the current Fanatec lineup, as well as being PS4 ready with the specs as follow. It's a 27 centimeter diameter wheel. It has Thomas approved Alcantara grips. It has 11 buttons, 2 paddle shifters, then a directional pad with a click, and a 7-way funky switch, which works as a directional and a rotary encoder and a button at the same time, and the 7-way funky switch. Comes with German Techno Rev lights LEDs, as well as the typical Fanatec menu system with adjustable paddle shifters. And as a ClubSport wheel, it comes with 2 vibrating motors for your tactile pleasure. Lastly, it comes with a quick release already pre-installed. In total, we're talking about a steering wheel that comes with up to 23 assignable buttons plus the paddle shifters, but you'll have to understand that the directional pads will probably be used to something that it will be common to directional pads, as to change menus or look left and look right. Also in the box, there are a few keycaps to customize the look and a bit of the feel of your wheel. The unboxing experience is a typical Fanatec. As you unbox it, they'll tease you for the reveal. Inside there are the caps, some stickers, and of course the wheel itself, which is inside a welcomed protective textile bag. Picking up the rim really gives the impression that it is a quality product and solidly built. The Formula 1 Esport is quite a heavy wheel for such a small package. We're talking about 1.2 kilo, which is considerably heavier than the P1. The all-metal assembly and the quick release add, of course, to that heft, and the construction is quite nice, though not everything is perfect. Ergonomics-wise, it is a comfortable wheel with very well spaced button configuration, though I'd prefer if the handles were slightly bulkier. As the wheel's grips are Alcantara, I would avoid using grip tape over them, and also I would recommend using gloves over the grips. But since they are replaceable, 3D printed solutions might be available somewhere in Etsy, for example. The buttons have a little bit of side play and movement, but it's not really a problem or a hindrance in general. The construction of buttons and the caps are really good, and when you press the buttons, they have an extremely good positive click. The force necessary to activate the buttons is more on the heavy side, which I like to avoid those misclicks. The buttons are spaced out in a convenient layout with 3 buttons on each side of the top, 3 at the bottom, 2 at the center, and besides them, or at least on the lateral parts, there are 2 directional pads. The buttons in the central area have a protective shroud, which will require you to move your thumb over them to activate the buttons. In this case, I'm using functions that I need to access in my natural movement of the thumb that should be very easy to access, but still require a little bit of safety in order to operate them. For example, the pit speed limiter. The directional pads are in a convenient place in an almost natural position for the thumbs to access and to rest, being perfectly distanced for them. The left thumb is a directional with the button. It works as any other directional would, and to activate the movement of the directional is really not required too much pressure. The button activation though, that's another issue, as the force required is considerably higher than the other buttons in the ClubSport wheel, which does create the issue of unwanted directional stick movement while pressing the button. On the other side of the plate, the funky switch is really a great addition. The added rotary function also requires some force to activate it, and it has this great tactile feel. The biggest downside for this wheel, at least for me, are the pedals, and it's something that we need to touch on. The construction of the pedal assembly is okay, and the actual distance is also okay, but some of the choices in the design are a huge detriment, and if fixed, it could be a kick-ass wheel out of the box. First of all, we have to talk about the ergonomics of the shifter. While it boasts some customizability, and that includes also the inversion of the pedals themselves, and you can also move them around, the extremely asymmetrical design means, at least in my case, that when the pedals are in stock format, they are really out of my shifting fingers reach, and when it's inverted, which is the one I'm using at the moment, it doesn't quite support the fingers fully. Then there's the pedal activation itself. There isn't really a great tactile feel on the bottom when you click it, but worst of all, the activation point is somewhere in the middle. This means you better prop up that muscle memory, otherwise misshifts are going to be a thing. I know there are 3D solutions to resolve some of the issues, including a 3D printed magnet shifter, but if anything, on a future version of this eSport ClubSport, I'd request Fanatec to slightly change the paddle shifter design and improve the tactile feel of the clicks. With all of this sim racing talking head yapping, how is the wheel? How does it perform? In reality, it's pretty darn good if I'm honest. I do miss rotaries of my Trustmaster Formula 1, but I'd rather save 120 euros than to have them if you buy the advanced. When you jump into a GT car, or a Formula car for that matter, it really shows how useful is this rim. The hand position is excellent, the rim has exactly the perfect size for the job, and there's a good number of reachable buttons available. It has just about enough functions or for anything that you need. It's easy to reach the buttons, it's comfortable over a long period of time. The diameter and compact nature of the Formula 1 Esports makes change of direction something of a breeze. The added ClubSport motors also increase the feedback forces, adding extra texture when it's driving. Though lower that force affects intensity just a little bit, otherwise you're gonna feel like you're stepping on Legos. The quick release system is easy enough to use, but be kind and don't push it too hard or there's a risk of bending the connectors. As for conclusions, I really like the Formula 1 Esports and I've been using it since I bought it. Considering the quality versus cost, it really shows that there was an amazing effort to bring all the goodies and quality at a relatively low price point. I know it's 250 euros, but you have to understand the bigger picture over here in terms of sim racing. It has all the bells and whistles you could ask for a product of this type. The construction is solid and the features are great. It could have been a really great home run for Fanatec if they fixed the paddle shifters. Still, it really deserves to be recommended and an option if you're looking to get a Formula type wheel for your setup. Now I'm gonna leave you guys here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave me in the comments your opinions of the Formula 1 Esports if you have them, or what you think of it compared to other wheels in a Fanatec ecosystem. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like. Also consider subscribe and hitting the notification bell so you'll see new videos and streams as they come out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.